while I was exploring around in the desert area near where we used to live in Joshua Tree. Finally, we moved from San Jose, California, where Shirley and I originally came together, where we had a lot of our experiences that began to develop. I mean, they sent me all the way from Hollywood all the way up there to meet my wife, believe it or not. And there's a whole story behind that, which we can get into after a while. But nonetheless, the contacts that we have been just absolutely incredible. In many cases, people would be just startled, to see what's happened. We've had beams of light come down in the building where we hold our communications, which have been photographed in color. Okay. Our neighbors have even seen a beam coming down in our building fairly recently, last November, right? While we were down in Tucson being interviewed on TV about UFOs. And also a beam come down in our living room that my son-in-law took while we were having Christmas, and so forth. So we've had these things happen over and over again. They've landed in our back pasture, broken tree branches coming down up to burn spot on the ground, and so on. So there's been a lot of things that have occurred, but
these beams of light or energy are a fairly common occurrence with you, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just, I still feel like a kid that's, running to a candy shop trying to pick up everything I get my hands on,
The photographs that you've shown me over the years parallel a lot of the photographs that Native Americans and shaman during ceremony have shown me, where there's a beam of light going straight into offering bowls and things like this, and it
absolutely,
distinctly.
As a matter of fact, just recently, Jaime Musan and Santiago Garza from Mexico, the foremost investigators down there, show a beam of light coming right straight down on the top of the El Citadel, or the Piramides del Kukulkan in Chichen Itza, okay? Which really startled the audience at Lawson. I'm telling you, I went, yeah, just like the one on our building. Oh, my God, just like the same one, see? But anyway, it's just a still ongoing thing. It's just fantastic to us. But anyway, to get into what we were talking about,
getting back to the primitive, a lot of people nowadays are becoming increasingly cognizant of the whole Mayan calendar, 2112, and all of this. Isn't there, when we come back, we'll discuss the implications and the prophecies of these ancient Indian cultures around the area of Giant Rock.
Welcome back, everybody. Scott Stevens, Barb Adams, Joe Flex with you on America Now. We've been talking to one of the world's first contactees and enjoying some of his stories about how the beginning of the modern UFO and ET contact movement began to take shape. And Joe, before we left, you'd asked him a question.
Right. We were reminiscing on a kinder, gentler UFO interaction back in the old days before it was all probes and mutilations. And we were discussing the early Native American traditions about the area of Giant Rock where all this started. And Bob, you were just about to discuss with us some of the prophecies from this Neolithic era.
Actually, the Cahuilla Indians, they were also up there when the Spaniards evidently arrived with the Aztecs, because we found a very crude drawing of Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan in one of the rocks out there. I have all of these images on a CD that I sent to Barbara Harris, and she was going to do a thing at the museum over there in Yucca Valley with this, but evidently there were some situations that came up, and it didn't turn out quite as what she'd wanted, but she has that at any time that she needs to use or wants to use it, and get the people together. A lot of the people at the Memorial Society in that area, Morongo Basin, they know me, and also Bill Hamilton is still alive. He's down in Kansas, however, and he sort of dropped out of this whole thing. He's one of the old-timers. And one of the other is Luda Francesca, who's up in Oregon, at White City, Oregon, and I can always give you the address up there to get in touch with her. She's one of the old-timers at Giant Rock. But anyway, going back to the natives, they prophesied that there used to be one of the old ceremonial centers there at Giant Rock in the very early days. They held held ceremonies there, and because it has a very spiritual atmosphere. Well, now that you got all those people with guns and beer drinkers and what have you
vandals
out there
such,
doing their thing, pulling all the energy down there, it's terrible. But because they only have one deputy once every 6 months to go out there and see what's going on and try to get some people to clean it up or whatever. But anyway, they prophesied that if part of the rock fell due to weathering and so forth, the situations that we would be undergoing, the changes that we would be undergoing wouldn't be quite as bad. But if the whole side would split off and fall down, we would have some very severe times we would go through. But again...
has that not happened, Robert?
It happened back in February of 2001. Yep. 1/4 of the rock actually split off on one side and fell. It was the side where the old speaker stand used to be. And a lot of people, unfortunately, went out there and sprayed graffiti all over everything in the rocks and over that part. And so Daniel and Matthew Boone, his son, had to go out there, who, by the way, Matthew Boone is one of the grandchildren of Van Tassel that my wife taught at Joshua Tree Elementary School, and she was told by our sources she was going to be doing that, and she taught all of them. But anyway, he went out there with his dad, Daniel Boone, which is a fantastic gentleman, used to be with SRF for many years, but they sprayed some white paint over that to cover it up. And believe it or not, later on, some lady was out there and said, "Oh, the poor road, it's suffering, oh my God." And she took some kind of pinkish red paint and painted it that color. And oh God, I went, oh my God, what is with these people? But anyway,
some people just can't leave well enough alone, huh?
Yeah, it's what people do. They just do these weird, I don't know, stuff out there. I don't know.
Now, the Giant Rock area also has a history prior to Van Tassel.
That's right,
that is,
Frank Kreisler. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you, Joe, Barbara Harris, who is the originator and the host of the retro UFO conventions at the Integratron, which Van Tassel had constructed all out of wood with very little metal,
and that's
except
restored
on the outside.
Now, right?
And by the way, Bob Benson, that helped to build that constructor, has a working model of that Integratron, which actually works. It's an energy device, okay? And she has seen this operate and seen the stopes of the whole thing move just like the big one does. And she said his model is quite large. But anyway, we're the girls that have now the Integratron, Joan and Patricia out there, they do a good job, wonderful job, but they're talking about maybe getting another retro convention in place next year. And I, of course, will be invited to do the opening ceremonies as also a Native American, partly Native American. I'm partly Cherokee and also adopted into the Lakota Sioux Hunkpapa. And I am now, in a sense, a distant relative of Sitting Bull. But anyway...
well, you couldn't have a retro UFO conference without Bob Short, I'll tell you that much.
Yep. Now, we had 3 of them out there. We had the fellows go over, believe it or not, put on demonstrations in the evening that were just mind-boggling. We've got photographs of that in color. The last one they did just after I did my ceremonies at about 11:32 a.m. in the morning. We could hear this going overhead. And we knew they were there. The Boones heard it also. It went right over the top of the Integratron, which is absolutely incredible.
Let's get back to the Frank Kreisler story.
Wait, but before we do that, I want to know what was going on.
What's in an Integratron?
Yeah, we need to
lead up to that.
Integratron, Van Tassel was given a diagram of an energy device which would delay the aging process in a human embodiment, okay?
I want one.
You'd walk in one door, stand immersed in the field of this energy device, which unfortunately was so costly, and he passed away before he could put into the place or construct it and put it inside the building. Now it's 2 stories, okay? It's big enough where we held the last convention, I believe it was, we held the second convention inside the Integratron because it was windy, and